You are listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. Join the Business Heroine community today at businessheroinemagazine.com. And now, tune into the show.
Hello and welcome. I'm Ann Perry, founder of Business Heroine, and I'm here with our beautiful, lovely May cover woman, Ingrid Arna. And Ingrid she's really a leading women's money and sales coach for visionary online entrepreneurs and coaches. She's a spiritual strategist with a gift for creating OMG branding and programs, as well as businesses that not only make bank, but change the world too. Ingrid combines deep soul healing with savvy marketing systems, and she's really transformed the lives of her clients with savvy strategy and spiritual guidance. Ingrid has been featured in Cosmopolitan Magazine, Instyle, Cleo, Vogue, and the Huffington Post, and now here she is with us in Business Heroine Magazine. We're so happy to have you, Ingrid. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Anne. I love your magazine and everything that you do, so thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm really excited for this conversation. We were chatting offline before jumping on here, and it's just, I feel like we could, probably chat all day. And so I said, you know what, let's just start recording. And where do we really jump in? I think let's start with your story. Tell us, how did you end up in the business you're in and being passionate about what you're passionate about and doing the work that you do in the world?
Okay, so it started a while back, and I'll kind of make it really quick, but I originally moved to New York. I'm Australian, obviously, and I wanted to be an actor, but I fell into deep despair. I had major trauma issues from my past that I really hadn't dealt with, and I developed a full-blown eating disorder. And it was sort of at that point in my lowest, darkest days, having my own soul crisis, quite young, I was only in my 20s, that I really knew that I had to change things up. I ended up having heaps of surgeries and a benign tumor in my uterus. So it was a pretty big wake-up call. So that really sent me on this voyage of doing a lot of deep inner healing work. And my whole path and my whole trajectory changed. I really just had to I just dropped on my hands and knees. And the word that came to me during my sort of, whole sort of spiritual crisis was the word body love. And I went on to create my first clothing line with poetry and affirmations. I raised capital in New York City and actually launched that clothing line in New York. And that was sort of where it all started. And I've been coaching and working in the healing realm ever since. And then I shifted into business coaching after I just kept seeing, I did body coaching and soul coaching for many, many years. And really at the end of the day, I kept seeing a pattern and really that spiritual body crisis that was going on for women. It went beyond actually the body, and I actually sort of already just said it, but it went really into the soul. So I started doing a lot more work there. And then I just began to look at the fact that I was working in a lot of areas in people's lives. It wasn't just about the body, because that really was just a symptom of a much deeper issue. And so after about 10 years, I really just shifted into business after struggling actually for quite a few years in my coaching business. I really thought, wow, I need to do this work. And we teach most what we need to learn. And that was certainly my case. And so I shifted into business and money.
Wow. Well, it's interesting. It's like body work, soul work, business work, money work. It's all not even separate, right? I mean, I always say that business and spirituality can't be separated. And in fact, if you want to be on an accelerated spiritual path, go ahead and open up a business and you will learn a lot about life and your soul and your calling and all of that stuff. So, but the soul piece is huge and it's all connected. And I know, the work that you do, it's not just here are some marketing strategies. You really work on the inner side, the spiritual side, the soul work. And I don't know, to me, more and more, that is the essence of all of it. It's like, physical symptoms in our body, they're a symptom for what's really going on. Symptoms in our business are really just a symptom of what's going on. And what is at the root of it all is that's the soul, the spirit, or I don't know how to put it, but I'm curious, what do you think? What are your thoughts on all that? Like, what does this all stem from?
Well, I really think that our subconscious runs the show most of the time, and unless we grow, our businesses won't grow. And so really at the end of the day, whether you're having a body image crisis or a money soul crisis, a money crisis, it really does come from an emotional level, and we can frame it any which way, but I usually talk about soul. But at the end of the day, it's also about those beliefs that run the show. And then there's usually like a soul disconnect. So I see a lot of women kind of living outside of their body. It's like they're not really, really grounded. And there's this sort of, I call it then a soul crisis, but it really usually starts with experiences that have happened to us in our younger years, our formative years. And unfortunately, most of the time they don't really get addressed. And it's those belief systems that are running the show. And then, we have the physical crisis because the body can't contain it anymore, and it becomes sick. The immune system gets depleted, digestive issues, all those kinds of things come up to the surface. We see it in our bank accounts, our money, how we're running businesses, how we're running our marriages, our personal lives. And so usually at the heart of it is a belief around either not being good enough. I mean, the beliefs there's thousands of beliefs, and I've definitely worked in my own life to release those thousands and thousands of beliefs. But what we all really, I think, need to do to have more peace, harmony, abundance in our lives is we do need to address that emotional conditioning and those subconscious beliefs. So what I say in business as well is it's not enough to have, the killer strategy, the great sales funnel. You also need to marry it with, in a healthy marriage or more like a juicy love affair, with the emotional IQ and the soul work. So
absolutely.
And then soul, and also soul work's not enough on its own either. So, you hear a lot of people about doing healing and, doing that emotional and more spiritual work in their lives. But then I see a lot of those people, but yet they're still trapped and they don't have the systems and the strategies in place that will allow them to leverage themselves in business. So, and I've definitely been like that, where there was one area was more weighted than the other, and it creates an imbalance.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
It makes so much sense. Yeah. I mean, they're both so, we do live in this three-dimensional world, we are these spiritual beings, and we also live in this three-dimensional world. And, one of the things I love about business is that we basically make things exist we pull things out of thin air and make them exist, what an amazing, awesome magic trick. And really what that comes down to is, imagining, putting our, imagining and then deciding that it's real and declaring it into existence. And then there's all those pieces, like what's underneath that's running the show, and working through our own our own stories, our own beliefs, our own blocks, like you said, and then also taking physical action and having some strategies that you can, that other people have figured out, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel and all of that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you saying about the thin air stuff, and I think, sometimes they say you have to believe just as much though in the unseen as you do in the seen. So yes, it does come from I really honestly believe that all our creations come from our consciousness. So if you can get into an energy field or a way of thinking that allows you to be also a visionary, that's just awesome. But then you need to have those belief systems that will allow you to actually do the work, show up and execute it on a very strategic, kind of more like a left brain level. Do you get?
Yeah. I love that you said that about, it's like we have to believe in the unseen as much as the seen. And it's like, well, whether we believe in it or not, that is what's running the show. Like you shared earlier, those unconscious, those things that are unconscious, that is the unseen. That's, part of what the unseen world is. And so, lifting that veil and working in that realm, whether it's with the things that are holding us back, the soul crisis things, or the magic that we are, and replacing it with beliefs that support us and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the only way to become successful on every level, basically. Right. You have to do the inner work, and you also need the strategy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things that you and I were talking about offline too is what happens when you have the external success, but the internal doesn't quite match it. Also, it's like, if you're making a certain amount of money, or you've gotten your business maybe on the outside to a certain space, but then you're feeling burnt out or stressed out, or you're running yourself into the ground, like that's not even the prize either. Like, what's it all for then, right?
Well, it's not really success, is it? So I don't think
Right.
that we have had a deeper level of that kind of conversation around, how do we run and create companies that are really, that are wealth generating on every single level. So I mean, nourishing for also the feminine body. So, 80% of Americans suffer from some form of adrenal fatigue. So that pure exhaustion.
What percentage did you just say?
80%. 80%
What?
of Americans.
Wow.
Yeah. It's so some, the thyroid issues, that whole thing. So it's a very fear-based consciousness. It's built on the run, work. And I think it's a global issue, because I know that it's prevalent here in Australia as well. But it's like the blind leading the blind, and we haven't developed yet structures, I don't believe completely yet, that really honor the fact that we are women. And I'm not saying we can't do it like men, but we really want to, because they're struggling as well. It's not working for them either. So for myself, reaching multi-six figures and now going to seven figures, we were talking about this, it requires, for me, like, I cannot sustain how I've been doing my business in a way, because it literally, I will, be kind of bedridden. I won't be able to function. And I have myself suffered terribly from adrenal fatigue. I was on medication for 6 years with that. And so I have to be incredibly mindful, but I think we all do. So many women today are suffering from things like migraines, hormonal issues, the weight gain. It's all from really stems from really living out of alignment, and I think being really busy, but also the kind of worry and all that. It all creates adrenal issues. So for me, I have to sit with myself, and it's the same advice that I'd give to anyone. Like, right now, you can sit with yourself and you go, okay, well, what is working? What's not working? Why isn't it working? If it doesn't feel, like you were saying that before, if it doesn't really feel good in your body, you know that you're out of alignment. So it's also having the courage and enough self-love to actually look at creating those changes, and then and believing that you deserve it. So for many, many years, I'd put up with a lot of, staff members and things like that really weren't pulling their weight. I wanted to be seen as nice. I'd play a bit of the rescuer. And because now my business has grown so much and I've got quite a lot of people to look after, I really can't be looking after my teammates. Or in my marriage, my husband works for me. So there's something not working in alignment there. I'm learning to really speak my truth with love, create incredibly clear boundaries. So for example, I'm going to be really honest. I mean, I said to him the other day, I love you, babe. You're awesome. We've done some great stuff together. We're going to the next level. And I can just feel that there are shifts that we need to make. And I feel that you are at 70% capacity and I'm working at 130%. And what that is doing is making me, I've got a cold, I had an eye infection, and it's clear that my body is saying, hey, I'm the one that will get it done no matter what, at what expense. And because my self-love has gone up through the roof, I'm actually saying, F no, I will not carry 130%. So I've had to clearly look at who I'm going to let go in my business. I've spoken to a few, and I was writing an email to a girl that I've hired recently, and she's lovely and everything, but lovely isn't good enough. It's like, if you do not follow through on your word and I'm having to chase you, there is something, and I do not want to explain it, because I literally feel like the energy is like draining out of my body when I have to, like, why do I don't want to do that. So I've actually let that person know, like, it either changes this week and there's consistency in that change, or love ya, but it's just not working. Husband, show up 100%. I'm not even having the conversation again. It just has to happen. He goes, yep, I get it. It's mandatory. I'm like, yep, if you need to go to kinesiology, if you need therapy, you go do the work. You clean up your side of the street, because I sure as shiz have cleaned up mine, because I take responsibility for myself. And that's the type of stuff, that's what I need. It's like I don't know how else to grow a business where I'm not the one exhausted if I do not have a team around me that is aligned, conscious, drama-free, abundant, proactive, visionary. So I'm claiming that for myself. So instead of being a victim and being sick in bed, I'm like, what needs to be changed? And I'm going to go get it. And if people don't like it, I actually don't care. Because they're not even, it's not even part of that's not my problem.
Right.
So I think I used to make everyone's stuff my problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that did was really paralyzed me.
Yeah.
Really paralyzed me because instead of like doing the work that I'm really called to do, all I'm doing is problem solving everyone else's stuff.
Yeah. You know, what you're talking about here, Ingrid, is really, really important. And I mean, this is an important conversation, especially if you are newer to the world of entrepreneurship, because the whole reason most people start a business is because they desire some level of freedom. Now, whether that's money freedom, time freedom, freedom of self-expression, freedom to, you know, make a difference in the world and like be in charge of your own decisions and all of that. Like there's some sort of freedom that we're seeking. And so it's kind of like, you know, that's why I say, if you want to have a, you know, a swift spiritual journey, open a business, because you have to look at that stuff. And so it's like, and what you're talking about here is then, you know, to take it to the next level, you've got to even clean out your stuff even more. So it's
absolutely,
it's like cleaning, it's like shedding what doesn't work, shedding what doesn't fit, having courageous conversations, making courageous decisions. That is necessary in order to actually have the business that actually creates the freedom that you're seeking. Otherwise, it can be quite a prison if you let this thing run you. Yeah,
absolutely. My mum's a cosmetic manufacturer, and I've seen her get sick and run down, and she's a multimillionaire, very highly successful, sells to 40 countries around the world. And I grew up with these hardworking immigrant parents, and I think I sort of followed a lot of that pattern because that was my example. But I literally refuse to do it anymore because it really isn't really a lot of fun. And I agree with you, Anne. It really is about cultivating freedom. So what is that for us, and what do we need in place in order for us to feel free and expansive? And I have an analogy. I was just thinking about it the other day. I was actually having a good chat with my husband about it. And I said, you know, it's like having two heavy suitcases and you're trying to climb up something like Mount Everest, and you're huffing and you're puffing, and they're really these heavy suitcases. I mean, you can barely take another step. And then trying to almost pick up a new reality, which is that new level of freedom, abundance, and flow. But in order to pick up the next level or the next dimension, the next reality, you've got to pick up two other suitcases, and there's no other way, or two other, you know, there's no other way to do that but to drop those heavy suitcases that you can't carry it anymore, and you certainly will not allow yourself to pick up a new reality carrying all that heavy stuff.
Right.
So I always say, so what is it that you need to let go of? What do you need to drop?
Yes.
And so it always starts with us, doesn't it? So
yes.
You know, and sometimes that's scary because it requires you like, oh my God, I am the creator of my destiny. I am the CEO of my life. And really at the end of the day, I have to be really responsible. So asking those questions that you said that, you know, you made some really great questions just there. You were, you know, asking what are the questions that you need to ask yourself, which are, you know, what do you need to release? And then actually then executing that and making sure that you then implement and carry that through. And for me, I also have, I call it my Fen squad. Like, I don't do all these massive changes in my life alone. I think it's a fallacy that we do anything alone. And so I seek solace, guidance. You know, we all have the inner knowing, but it's so lovely to be held in a sacred container. And so I have, you know, my own spiritual guide who'll talk through things with me. I usually know it all, but I just I want to have that person there. So I have her on speed dial if I need her. I have a kinesiologist. You know, I love to talk to my husband, but sometimes I just need a completely different feminine type of more spiritually aligned viewpoint. And I know where to go to get that. And I don't think I would have transitioned through the changes that I've made recently in my life, which are all great, without that support for me.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's another really important thing.
Totally. Business can't be done in isolation, as I tried that one, and that was exhausting. And I mean, it just can't be. Community is so important. Community and mentors and, you know, mentees and all of that. Just, you know, we're all helping each other out. So I'm curious. One of the things that I love to ask people that I'm always just curious about is like, really, what do you know is possible in the world? You know, like it's like when, especially somebody who is, you know, soul fueled and spirit aligned and all of that. And it's like, you're doing the work that you do. You've created your business that you're creating, or that you've created, so that you can make a difference in the world that you uniquely can make. And it's like, if you could wave a magic wand and it is so, you know, or pop a magic pill in everyone's mouth and we all wake up to some truth that we've been blind to, like, what do you actually know is possible for humanity and the world?
It's a powerful question. I really, if I could give every woman a pill where they magically wake up, it would be to truly own their brilliance. And for them to be able to claim that, so that they could then go on and share it with the world. Because the Dalai Lama said, you know, the Western woman, we've all heard the quote, are going to change the world. And I actually think that, you know, and when women become truly empowered, that is when we will change the world. Whether it's changing, you know, raising daughters that truly lead, and sons to have true self-confidence, who come from a love sort of based way of relating to the world and themselves, and they then go out and all become leaders in that way. And whether we influence 1 or 2 or 3 lives or thousands of lives, that's what I really wish. Because I see a lot of scattered energy. And a lot of that scattered energy that comes to me is the woman that is completely disconnected from her true power. So it would be really a divine feminine power pill, because for hundreds of years, you know, really, for hundreds of years we have been, and, you know, it's not our fault, honestly, it's not, because I get it. But we can't be victims. We need to, I believe, be vixens. So, but we have been shamed and blamed and attacked and raped and abused. We have. And it goes on still today. And we have to sometimes, just to cope, pretend that it's not happening. And it is happening every day, including in Western culture, in America, in Australia. It happens all the time. And it is horrendous. But how do we then become change makers? We can't feed that. We have to feed ourselves with that self-love and become, I think, more deeply aligned and not crushed by that any longer, because that's the only way I believe women will rise up and change the world. Yeah,
I love it. I think you said feminine power pill or something. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm like, I was just thinking femininepowerpill.com. But what I love about what you're saying, and like, this is really important for those of you listening, because it's like, you know what, the feminine power, if every single woman awoke to her true brilliance and power instantly, like, let's just say Ingrid waves a magic wand and every woman across the world wakes up to her true power and brilliance, like that right there, I mean, there would be no hunger, there would be no war, like, you know, like everything would be changed. And so, and that's how it is for everyone's business who is, you know, has a purpose-based business. It's your own flavor, but all of it is like really, truly world changing. So we can go, it would be awesome to make a lot of money. It'd be awesome to know these marketing strategies, but what is it really all about? It's really all about waking up to your true power, your true brilliance, and therefore rippling that out to humanity and just changing it all. So that's the power of Ingrid's work. So thank you, Ingrid, for doing your work
as well. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we all have it within us, you know. I just think that when I, you know, even sometimes he'll, you know, say, sorry, I just had a new client come to me. Sorry, I've still got a bit of a flu, so I'm struggling a bit. But so a new client came to me and she said, "Oh, you're my coach," and that word, whatever. But I'm like, you know what, babe? I'm really just a guide, because you really have everything that you need within you. And I see a lot in the industry sometimes still this overpowering kind of power play. And that's not where I come from, because it's like, I see the beauty in you and your brilliance, and you see the beauty in me. And that is, I feel that where we need to hold other women in that sacred, that's how I want to be spoken to, and that's how I want to be treated. So I just feel like, I don't know why I got off on this tangent. If you're going to hire someone that is a mentor or a coach, make sure that they really do believe in you and reflect back your brilliance, because just in doing that for another woman, whether you're a coach or a healer or business person, even with your staff, if you can just, you know, radiate that and hold that container, even in that we create, I think, mammoth healing, because it's so rare to get not that we, should seek validation, but imagine if we could just give that out to other people. And just, I can't believe it. Like sometimes even when I have a sales call, I always do that. And I tell my girls in sales, make sure that you tell them how amazing, like it has to come from a truthful place, but make sure that you let them know how incredible they are.
Yeah.
Because just that, if you never even work with that person, they don't sign on with you, if you can at least make them start to, inspire a little bit of a shift in the way that they're viewing themselves, I just feel that it's so powerful.
I love that. And that, there's a lot of sales conversations that point out where you need to be fixed or where you're broken. So that, I have the answer and you're broken. And
I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too. So I love that. I mean,
Yeah,
I love your advice. Like, make sure you point out their brilliance. What's that?
I don't think it's necessary.
No.
I think women are really clever, and you said that we were talking before about energy and everything from thin air. Well, everything is also energy, so it's all in the air. Everything how we're communicating, and I say to my clients and girls that I work with, I'm saying, look, I can teach you all these different strategies with sales, about the bonding and then creating intimacy. But my key takeaway around it all is before I get on a call, my focus intention is not to sell the person, really. It's to create a deep, heartful connection, and that woman feels really seen.
Yeah.
And if we're meant to work together, I really honestly believe, some people might think that's a bit, I don't know, but I've done a lot of sales calls, in my time, and I honestly believe like some people are just not ready either. So you can do the most epic, loving, amazing call, and some people are just not going to be ready. So do not take it personally. It's also a numbers game. And even if you're the best salesperson, and another really important part of it is I do say you've got to sell to serve. So it's really owning your own brilliance as well when you come to a call, because and I say to my girls, leave your insecurity out the door, outside the door, because when you come to that call and you really want to make that woman feel safe and heard and loved and be that leader that you need to be, you cannot bring your shit into the room. Just, and if you get an intuitive hit and a knowing that comes up, if you've got that insecurity going on there, that's what she's actually going to, whether she's really aware of it or not, that's actually what she's feeling. And that is not a way to serve somebody. So what I've actually done, I will let you wrap it up, and I would be going over, but I say when I do a sales call, I tell you, I go for gold in terms of if I get an intuitive hit, I will let them know. And if they don't resonate with it or they don't, that's okay. But I kind of take a bit of a leap of faith and really honor what I'm getting. And I find that really has helped me secure clients as well, because they're like, oh my God, this woman knows her shiz. Now, if I was bringing insecurity into the equation, there is no way that I would allow that intuitive guidance to. And there's no way that I'd be sharing it, because I'm too consumed with, do I know enough? Am I good enough? What is she going to think? And I don't give a shit what she thinks, actually. All I want to know is, I want it to be so beautiful and rich and empowering and honest. And that is how I do that's how I do sales calls.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And whether, like you said, whether she joins you in your business or not, you've given her quite a gift right there. When the call itself is a gift, then you're doing something right.
I hope so. And one of the things that they say no is we're probably not really aligned at that time. And I trust that. So there's a level of detachment. I don't know her whole story. I don't know everything that's going on. And so I've learned not to take it personally. I'm like, because you know what? When I get a yes, I think it even goes beyond what I'm saying. It's just like meant to be. Right. I honestly believe that. It's not all this. Yes, there's a strategy. There's a way of holding that space. There's a way of us being loving and kind and wise and fun and playful. That yes, all of that is important, but I just feel like it even runs deeper. I don't feel like every single woman that I have at the moment in one of my groups, I don't know. It's just like it was the most easy yes. And if someone doesn't say yes on the phone to me, I usually never sell them. They never usually come back. It's like it just doesn't happen. Right.
It's either there or it's not. And alignment, back to that conversation of alignment. It's either in alignment or it's not. And there's no judgment on it. It's just, the more we're basing our decisions and actions on alignment, then the better it is for all of us. And so such great wisdom nuggets there and so for those heroines who are listening now, who are feeling the alignment with you, where can the business heroines go to learn more about you, Ingrid?
Okay, so I have ingridarna.com and ceodiva.com. So that would be the best place. And if you do want to have a chat with me, you can also go to ceodivaconsult.com.
Great.
And that's basically it. But yeah, if you feel aligned, then I'd love to chat.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Ingrid, thank you so much for making our magazine cover beautiful and for gracing us with your wisdom today. It was really, it's always awesome to talk to you. Always a pleasure. So.
Well, I'm honored deeply. You're amazing. You're such a visionary, and I love all the work that you're doing. And I can't wait to see more of the work you're doing, because I know that you've got lots of hot stuff cooking. I can feel it. Thank
awesome.
you, Anne.
Yes, thanks, Ingrid, and thanks, Business Heroines, for tuning in. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
You have been listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out what's new at businessheroinemagazine.com today.